Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday, Week 6 edition. I am your host, Anthony Florio. I am joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. Good news is he's actually going to be on the show. He's going to be late coming in because he has a special commitment on his end right now, but he should be here, and if and when he comes in, we will catch him up on what he missed. So, small miscount. I thought there were 12 games, but apparently there's 11 now. So we have 11 games on our docket, but even with only 11 games, still, we have a lot of big matchups here, and this is our biggest week yet. I mean, what else is there to say except this? While the sample size is relatively small, week 6 is unquestionably the biggest week of this 2020 college football season so far. This weekend boasts a quartet of top 25 showdowns, including a couple of enormous ACC games. Top-ranked Clemson hosts number 7 Miami, and number 8 North Carolina welcomes number 19 Virginia Tech to Chapel Hill. Those results will have a considerable effect on both the ACC standings and early college football playoff conversations. In the SEC, top 5 teams, Georgia and Florida, both take on ranked opponents in Tennessee and Texas A&M, respectively. And even though both Texas and Oklahoma have losses, 2 in OU's case, the Red River rivalry is always notable too. So that's all there is to say on that. So with all that being said, let's dive right on in to this 11-game docket. And we are going to start it off with the number 4 Florida Gators, and this is the first of our huge games this week. We got 5 huge games here, although there's some other good ones, but this is one of our first big ones right here. High noon over on ESPN, the number 4 Florida Gators squaring off against the number 21 Texas A&M Aggies. Kyle Field, College Station. ESPN will have this game, and on the call for that one, it'll be Dave Patch with Greg McElroy and Holly Rowe. And Florida opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. So with all that being said, let's kick off week number 6, our biggest week yet to this point. Florida quarterback Kyle Trask has 684 passing yards and 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Texas A&M gave up 435 passing yards and 4 scores in a 52-24 loss to Alabama. Anyone else not feeling optimistic about a complete reversal in 7 days? Florida's defense is a concern, but the Aggies have bigger problems. I'm going with Florida to win this game. My final score, 38-27. Florida outlasts Texas A&M. So nothing more to say. I'm going to throw it off now to a very happy little MF Michael Fletcher. MF, first off, congratulations on your Atlanta Braves today. First time in the NLCS since our senior year in high school, if you can believe that, 2001. Yeah. So I know you're in a very good mood, and I'm sure you're going to bring that good mood to this. So let's have your thoughts on Florida and Texas A&M as we start off this loaded week.
Yeah, and I got to go with Florida as well. I think they really did really well. Yes, the defense is a major concern. However, like you said, Texas A&M's defense is a lot worse. Even though I got to give credit where credit's due, they did hang with Alabama early in the game. They did very well. What happened was, once it got later in the game, Bama grinded them. They started using the running game, which is Bama's bread and butter, and then they started throwing it. But there was a stretch, especially towards the end of the first half, where it was close. It was like 14-14, and then Bama just went on a major tear where they got 3 touchdowns in a row, and that broke the game wide open, and down went A&M. For Florida, they got to do almost the exact same thing. The longer the game goes where it's close enough, A&M might have start believing, hey, we got a shot, we could win this. You gotta impose your will early and often in the game. Make plays downfield, use your running game, and defense, be ready for an air assault. They couldn't run the football, but they will bomb you through the air. That was one major success that A&M had against Alabama before Alabama decided to put the clamps down and ended it. So just to keep a close eye, but I will go with Florida as well. I think Florida will win. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, let's move on to our next matchup, which MF will start off. The first of the two big games in the in the ACC rather. The number 8 North Carolina Tar Heels squaring off against the number 19 Virginia Tech Hokies. Kenan Memorial Stadium, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. This game will be over on ABC. And on the call for that one, it will be, as soon as I can find it, yes, Bob Wischusen, Dan Orlovsky, and Roddy Smith. North Carolina opening up as a 4-point favorite. MF, it's needless to say, this is probably going to be the biggest college football game for North Carolina in how long?
Ever. They've never been in this kind of situation. As a matter of fact, I think this is the first time ever they're in the top 10. They've never been in this position before. Normally, when we talk about North Carolina, you talk about their college basketball team. And we already know how great their basketball team is. They're very underrated and unknown in the football world, in the college football world. Well, because of COVID-19, because of everything that's been happening, the ACC and especially North Carolina has a moment to shine because they don't have the big kahunas, the other big names coming in. That will change very soon, at least in a couple of weeks when the Big Ten starts their season, and they're starting very soon. I think they're about a week or two away from them starting, and if they get going, look out. So yeah, absolutely, you're absolutely right. I do believe that North. This is a tough game though, but I'm gonna go with Carolina. I think Carolina will figure it out a way, sneak away with the victory. It's gonna be close, but I got Carolina winning, and it's gonna be razor thin, Floyo. This is gonna be a good game. I got North Carolina winning, so it's yours.
Yeah. The problem with Virginia Tech is we are uncertain who will be available. Last week against punchless Duke, the Hokies had 21 players out, including quarterback Hendon Hooker. If he's not starting, Virginia Tech's offense will very likely struggle. The offensive line has been better than expected, but UNC's run defense is stout. With a 44.4 completion rate and only 7.5 yards per attempt, Braxton Burmeister has put nicely a whole lot to prove. I agree with you, MF. I'm going with North Carolina to win this one. 34-20. North Carolina beats Virginia Tech. So there's really nothing more to say on that. Now we have something interesting. We have some interesting news that comes out of this one. This next game will be at high noon on the SEC Plus or the SEC Network Alternative. The number 17 reigning, defending college football playoff national champion LSU Tigers squaring off against the Missouri Tigers at Faurot Field in Columbia, Missouri. It's Faurot Field at Memorial Stadium in Columbia, Missouri. Now, this game was originally scheduled to be at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, but it was moved to Missouri. And I know a lot of people saying, oh, it's because of COVID. No, this is actually not because of COVID, believe it or not. It's because there's a hurricane. A very severe hurricane is heading towards the area. So I'm sure MF will have more on that in a moment, but that's what I heard. So, but my number 17 LSU is squaring off against Missouri in Missouri. So this will be over on the SEC Network Alternative, which is the SEC Plus. Check your local listings. It'll be Dave Fleming with Rod Gilmore and Quint Kessenich, and LSU opening up as a 15-point favorite. So no surprise there. So LSU responded nicely after the loss to Mississippi State. The Tigers cruised past Vanderbilt with a 100-yard showing from running back John Emery Jr. and star receiver Terrace Marshall Jr. caught 2 touchdowns. Missouri managed just 4.9 yards per play against Alabama and Tennessee, suggesting the offense isn't much of a threat against top competition. It doesn't matter if this game was at LSU or at Missouri. It doesn't matter. LSU is going to win this game. My final score, 38-17. LSU beats Missouri. So nothing more to say. MF, I mean, this game had to be moved from LSU to Missouri because of a hurricane.
Yep.
Do you know anything more about that?
Yeah, it's actually, the name of it is very rare because of the fact that we went through all the names of the hurricane season. This is being called Hurricane Delta. So now they're using the Omega and all those kind of encryption names. So Hurricane Delta is supposed to make landfall within the next day or so. That's why they went and moved the game. It's supposed to be a Category 2, Category 3 hurricane in a place like Louisiana that's very low line, below sea level. A Category 3 is a real dangerous storm. This was a bad situation that was going to bear down on the city, and they needed the game to be moved. This was the right decision by the schools to move the game out and move it to Missouri. I got to give props to not only the SEC, but I believe the Big 12. Isn't Missouri in the Big 12, or are they also in the SEC, Anthony?
Missouri's in the SEC.
All right, so Missouri's in the SEC as well. So, oh, that's right. Missouri used to be in the Big 12, then moved to the SEC. Okay, but anyway, this was a great call by the SEC. The right decision to do to protect the players, protect everybody that needed it to be protected, to do the game in Missouri. That's fine. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's gonna be LSU. They're gonna win the game. They're gonna win this one pretty comfortably. And I really don't think there was really much to add on this. But I got to give props to the SEC to move the game out and to protect the players, which is the right thing to do. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with the families in Louisiana, because not only are they getting affected, but there is a rumor that the New Orleans Saints might be forced to move for their game on Sunday because of this storm. But they're holding out hope that they could get the game in New Orleans. But there was talk about possibly them moving to Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. So we'll keep you monitored on that on Saturday as part of NFL Saturday. So there's a lot of moving and shaking around with the schedule, but there's also a possibility that a game might get moved to another location.
Yeah, the Saints are scheduled to square off against the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football. So, and yes, on NFL Saturday, oh my goodness, yes, a lot of shakeups indeed, and we will definitely address all that come Saturday night, 48 hours from now. But nonetheless, well, I can't think of a better game to lift our spirits up than this one. It's our final high noon game, and ladies and gentlemen, it's the main event of the high noon games. Red River rivalry time. And it's only fitting that MF gets to start it off, because this is the game right here. This will be on Fox. The number 22 Texas Longhorns squaring off against, I can't believe I'm saying this, the unranked Oklahoma Sooners. Yes, they are unranked. Texas and Oklahoma, the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, on Fox. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, the All-American girl, Jenny Taft. Oklahoma opening up as a 2-point favorite. So there's really nothing more to say. MF, I mean, yes, a little luster has been lost because Oklahoma's lost 2 in a row for the first time since 1999.
Yep.
And, we have a 2-1 against a 1-2. Oklahoma unranked for the first time in a long time. Texas dropping down to 22 after that tough luck loss to TCU. But even though Miami and Clemson is the real game of the week, this is the game right here because, in my opinion, this truly is what the words main event were meant for because they don't get no bigger than this. Red River rivalry time.
And I was going to say it too. You can say all the rivalries in college football. Florida State, Miami, we had that not too long ago. You talk about Ohio State and Michigan, and that will come later in the year. USC and Notre Dame, unfortunately, we're not getting that this year. But if there's ever a Mount Rushmore of top rivalries in college football, Red River is definitely up there and is one of the 4 of the Mount Rushmore. This is the war. It is bloodshed. It is emotion. It takes a little bit of a hit because of where we are and the circumstances that it is. But it's still in the Cotton Bowl. It's still in Dallas. It's still in that very venue. There's nothing more to say about that. The bloodlines are lore. Either you're the red and white or the orange and white. And blast those cannons off because there will be a lot of fireworks going in this game. This is a rivalry that stems through the ages, and we've seen some big moments at Red River. From Baker Mayfield's clutch touchdowns to one of the years when they did Red River, when Ricky Williams ran over Oklahoma. And yes, I know Kevin Woodson and Dede Woodson is probably going to kill me for saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is always one of the greatest rivalries in college football. Now, who's going to win? I got to go with Texas this year. And the reason why is 2 games already, and I have not been convinced or have even liked what I've seen from Oklahoma. Any other year, I would say Oklahoma wins. But for some odd reason, this year, they've been struggling. Offensively, quarterback play's been horrible. Defensively, they've been getting shredded up. Now, don't get me wrong. TCU carved up Texas last week, and I absolutely went raging with Anthony Florio, and I told him that I was going to call out Texas for their performance last week because it was terrible, and absolutely they deserve to get ripped, and I was going to rip them. But with everything that's going into this game, I like Texas better because I do believe that they will make the clutch plays. Defensively, they will get to that quarterback because that quarterback right now, I don't know what's going on. He's thrown some very bad footballs. He's thrown some costly picks. He's made some fumbles that has not won the Red River, that has not won the games the last 2 weeks. And if they do that at Red River, they're going to get smoked. So I'm going to go with Texas. Texas wins the Red River rivalry. They'll get to hook the horns one more time as they take down the Oklahoma Sooners. It will be basically Boomer Sooners going to have a broken wheel on that wagon on Saturday. So Texas wins. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards Texas myself. I mean, the only thing stopping the Red River rivalry from being a clash of 1 and 2 teams and a battle of unranked teams is Texas' miracle comeback against Texas Tech 2 weeks ago. What an unexpected start to 2020 in the Big 12. Oklahoma is making an uncharacteristic number of mistakes offensively, and the defense is just bad. Texas is flawed too, but the Longhorns have the firepower to shred this OU defense. Texas wins. It'll be a 5-star classic, Shakespearean drama. I fully believe that. 45-38, Texas over Oklahoma. Even though, if you noticed at the end of last night's AEW, when Jim Ross signed off, you heard him simply say, beat Texas. Sorry, JR. It's not going to be no Boomer Sooner. I'm sorry. But if Texas does, but if Oklahoma should somehow win this thing, that's a season saver right there. No doubt about it. So we'll have to wait and see. I can't remember the last time Oklahoma lost 3 in a row. We're going to have to look into that. But
I'll check that for you right now, Florio.
All right, MF. So while MF does that, let's get into our 3:30 slate of games, and we have 3 of them. And we started off, as always, with another one of our favorites, the SEC on CBS, and we got a good one here. Oh, I love this matchup. Another one of our big games of the week. The number 3, Made in Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to be at home against the number 14, Tennessee Volunteers. Sanford Stadium, the legendary Hedges in Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, it's the SEC on CBS. You know who's working this game. You don't need an announcer sheet for this. You know who's going to be doing it. As always, Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, the beautiful Jamie Erdahl, and Georgia opening up as a 12-point favorite. So nothing more to say here. Let's get into this huge SEC matchup. This is a measuring stick game for Tennessee. Georgia held Auburn to 6 points and a middling 3.5 yards of play. Through 2 games, the Dogs have ceded a meager 4.8 yards per pass attempt and grabbed 4 interceptions. Compare that excellence with Tennessee's top concern, which is whether the passing game, unlike the last 3 seasons, can be productive against top competition. It's fair to believe, quote unquote, no, until the Vols prove otherwise. But this is the first opportunity to change that narrative. I'm going with the Made in Georgia Bulldogs to win this one. 27-16. Georgia pulls away late to beat Tennessee. So there's really nothing more to say. Georgia's used to these big games, but when was the last time Tennessee had a game of this magnitude?
No, this has been, I believe, either if Casey Clawson was the quarterback, or you got to go even further back to the days of Peyton Manning when he was the star quarterback of Tennessee. I think even I'll even go back before after Manning, where I think it was T. Martin when he was the quarterback of Tennessee was the last time that they had a big matchup like this. So it's been a long time. I think the last time that I could remember, actually no, I stand corrected. The last time that there was a big matchup for them was Josh Dobbs when he was the quarterback, and it was Tennessee versus Florida. And that was like a highly profiled matchup, and Tennessee won that game. It was in Volunteer Stadium too, in Nashville. So yeah, this is a tough game for them, but you're going up against a Georgia team that I just believe they're going to win this game. I just don't think that Tennessee, I think they'll make a game out of it, but I just feel like right now, the winners, I'm going to say it, I got Georgia winning. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right, let's move on to our next matchup, which MF will start off on. The number 15 BYU Cougars, they're going to be at home against the University of Texas San Antonio. And this will be, of course, at the legendary Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, Utah. And this game will be over on ESPN2. And And on the call for that one, it will be Anish Shroff with Tom Luganbill and Taylor McGregor, and BYU. They are opening up as soon as it loads up here, they're going to be opening up as 34.5 point favorites. And,
Oh.
and MF, do you know what the irony of this is?
Ah.
Texas San Antonio. Do you know what their mascot name is? Do you know what their team name is? Roadrunners. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to say these Roadrunners are going to get caught by a very hungry coyote, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the Wile E. Coyote joke. I had a feeling it was coming.
Maybe.
Oh, God. And you did the meep meep, too. You ungrateful son of a you-know-what. How dare you do the meep meep? You know I'm the only one that does the meep meep. So don't ever do that again, Florio. Now, I did. There's nothing more to say. There's nothing more to say. I mean, the Roadrunners are going to get stomped. It's not a good day. There's nothing more for me to say, Anthony. I got no words. No words. It's all yours.
Oh man, Roadrunners! Wow. Yes. For those of you who might not know, MF and I, one of our many legendary running gags has always been him as the Roadrunner and me as the Coyote. Mainly because of how his teams used to dominate my teams back in the day. But I don't know what else there is to say either. But the only thing to say about this, to put this to bed, would be BYU wins. I mean, BYU is quietly one of the nation's most impressive teams. While the defense has surrendered just 3.9 yards of play, quarterback Zach Wilson has totaled 990 yards and 11 touchdowns. BYU has enjoyed 3 wins of 31 plus points. It seems unlikely that a UTSA defense that gives up 6.1 yards a snap can control BYU. So it's going to be BYU. They may be known as the Cougars, but these Coyotes are going to definitely catch them some Roadrunners, no doubt about it. 48-21. Give me BYU all over Texas San Antonio. So nothing more to say. Let's move on to our final 3:30 matchup, and it features back in the top 25 after their huge win last Saturday night, the number 24 Iowa State Cyclones, and they're going to be back at home at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames, Iowa, and they are going to be hosting the Red Raiders of Texas Tech, and this game will be over on ABC. And all right, as soon as we get this wonkiness out of the way, all right. Mark Jones, Dusty Dvoracek, and Paul Carcaterra, they're going to be on the call for that. And Iowa State opening up as a 12.5 point favorite. So I'm not really surprised to hear that. So Ames, Iowa, Jack Trice Stadium, that's where they'll be. So it's going to be Iowa State. I mean, the key question for Texas Tech is whether quarterback Alan Bowman will be healthy. He exited last Saturday's loss to Kansas State with a leg injury. If he plays, the Red Raiders are a solid pick. But without the assurance that he'll be available, Iowa State can lean on quarterback Brock Purdy against a mediocre Texas Tech pass defense. I got Iowa State winning this one. My final score, 41-30, Iowa State over Texas Tech. So there's nothing more to say, MF. I mean, Iowa State coming off that huge win over Oklahoma. That's why they're back in the top 25, and I think they'll keep the momentum going.
Absolutely. Iowa State is definitely going to win the game. There's really nothing more to add. Anthony, actually, I did want to let you know that I actually did find out the last time that Oklahoma lost 3 in a row. You got to go all the way back to 1998, was the last time that Oklahoma has lost 3 in a row. As a matter of fact, the worst streak they ever had was Oklahoma actually lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row in 1998, and oddly enough, Texas was one of the 5 that they lost to that year. So, oh yeah. But that's just a little side note. So just to clear it up. So yeah, 1998 was the last time they've lost 3 in a row.
Oh, I'm glad you found that out. That's very interesting. That was another special school year for us that year, but yeah, I'm very very surprised to hear that. So did you give your thought on the Iowa State?
It's Iowa State. There's really nothing more to add.
All right. Yep. Just wanted to make sure you got that in there. So alrighty, let's move on to a rare 4 o'clock kickoff. We don't get many 4 o'clock games nowadays, but we're gonna have one here. And this is a game that we would consider back in the day. Well, it doesn't really have that luster anymore. It would be State of Sorrel against Lindsey McCormick, as it would be the number 13 Auburn Tigers of Lindsey McCormick, and they're going to be back at home at Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn, and they're going to be squaring off against State of Sorrel's Arkansas Razorbacks, and that's why we would say it was Sorrel against McCormick there. One-sided rivalry, obviously. This game will be over on ESPN, and on the call for that one will be Taylor Zarzar. Yeah, it'll be Taylor Zarzar with Matt Stinchcomb and Lawrence Sisler, and Auburn opening up as a 14-point favorite. They're a 2-touchdown favorite against Arkansas. No surprise there. But Auburn, oh my goodness, they absolutely got manhandled by Georgia. And what's this? Arkansas actually won a game? What?
Yeah, they actually did.
Wow.
A lot of people did not see that coming. A lot of people were stunned that Arkansas won, but nah. Unfortunately, Auburn is gonna bounce back. I'm pretty sure they're gonna win this game. There's really nothing more to add here. So give me Auburn. They'll win it. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, it's going to be Auburn. No ifs, ands, or buts about this. Golf clap for Arkansas, which snagged its first SEC victory since 2017 with a triumph over Mississippi State. But the Razorbacks' reward is a date with an angry Auburn team, which returns home following an ugly loss to Georgia. This should be a defensive battle, and Arkansas's lack of explosiveness on offense will decide the game. I got Auburn winning this one as well. I agree with you, MF, on this. 24-13. Give me Auburn to knock off Arkansas once again. So now we're going to the primetime games, and now we are going to get into the game of the week. Here we go. The MF special. The number 1 team in all the land, the Clemson Tigers. And they are going to be back at home at Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina, Death Valley. And they are going to be hosting the number 7 Miami, Florida Hurricanes, the U. Clemson, well, before I get into the spread, of course, and oh, by the way, it's the ABC Saturday night game of the week. And yes, they're back on there this week after a 1-week stint on ESPN. They're back on the ABC Saturday night game of the week where they belong. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Allison Williams will be serving as sideline reporter. She'll be sitting in for Maria Taylor while she wraps up her NBA commitments, which could wrap up tomorrow night. But I'm sure the following week maybe Maria will be back with Fowler and Herbie. But Allison Williams will be there with them one more time. And Clemson opening up as a 14-point favorite. So 2-touchdown favorite for Clemson. We are about to see if Miami is a neat September story or a legitimate threat. As impressively as quarterback De'Aaron King has played, Miami lacks a standout wide receiver and is vulnerable at linebacker and cornerback. That's a rough set of problems, especially opposite Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence. Short of having King run all over Clemson, Miami's upset hopes hinge on generating turnovers and bringing out that damn turnover chain, which I still have nightmares about nearly 3 years later. The infamous Under Siege game. You know what I mean by that. And the Tigers' first team offense doesn't have any in 2020. This is going to be a high scoring game. It'll be close for about three quarters or so, but I think Clemson will pull away in the fourth. I got Clemson winning a wild one, 48-31 Clemson over the U. So there's nothing more to say. MF, even though in our hearts, the Red River rivalry is in our hearts the game of the week, this right here is the real main event and what the words main event were meant for, because, brother, it don't get no bigger than this. MF special, the U, Clemson, ACC supremacy. Let's go.
You know, other than the Big Ten, I'm very fond of the ACC, and everybody knows that. This is one of those matchups that I get very excited to see. This is going to be a great game. And yes, Anthony, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a big time fight, and it's going to come down to the wire. But I will say this. I agree with you with everything that you said. Miami's got a quarterback. Miami has a quarterback that can stand in the pocket, throw it down the field, and use his legs. It's not just a prototypical style, but they finally have a quarterback that they can rely on. And that was something that Miami's been struggling with for a couple of years now. Trevor Lawrence is just going to play like he normally would play, top of the level, best player in the league. You can probably say he'll probably be one of the favorites, going into this game. This is going to be exciting, down to the wire, whatever you want to say. At the end of the day, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go with Clemson to win it. It's gonna be very close, down to the wire, but give me Clemson to win. So nothing more to say, Anthony. It is yours.
All right, and we got a couple games left, and we're gonna move on to our next 7:30 game. This will be over on ESPN, the ESPN SEC Saturday night game of the week. The number 2 Alabama Crimson Tide. They're going to be squaring off against the Rebels of Ole Miss from Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. This game will be over on ESPN, as I mentioned. Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge, Todd McShay, Molly McGrath. Alabama opening up as a 25-point favorite. So, MF, when it comes to this game, we only got 2 words for you all out there. Next
roll.
victim.
Oh, I thought you were going to go roll tide on me. Yeah.
Well, roll tide too. But next victim, really.
But next victim, really. Yes, I'm going to go with that as well. I agree. It is going to be. I don't think there's really not much to add here. I'm going to say it. Yes, Alabama wins easily, no problems. They're just a far step better and more powerful than any other team in the game right now. They're just poised to make a big run, poised to make a national championship run, which they are. Bama should look good. This will be an easy victory for them. Give me Bama to win it. So, Anthony, it's yours, my friend.
Yeah, it's going to be Bama. No doubt about it. Mississippi, Ole Miss, they're playing exactly as anticipated with a fun offense and wild ride of a defense. The latter has surrendered 1,201 yards and 92 points in 2 games. That is, well, an enormous issue against Coach Lane Kiffin's former team. Alabama just put up 544 yards and 52 points on Texas A&M. The over-under of 73.5 per DraftKings is more interesting than the pick itself. But I got Alabama winning this one. I got them winning going away. 56-28. Alabama all over Ole Miss. So there is really nothing more to say on that. And one game left, and I can't think of a better way to close out this slate of games than with my team. The number 5, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, back at home at Notre Dame Stadium. And they are going to be hosting the Seminoles of Florida State. Prime time, under the lights at Notre Dame Stadium on NBC. Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, and back on the sidelines after her outstanding job during the Stanley Cup playoffs, the beautiful Catherine Tappan. We missed you on the sidelines, KT, but don't worry. Jack Collinsworth did an admirable job of filling in. Tough shoes to fill, but I'm so glad to have KT back, and that makes it even better. And even better on top of that, Notre Dame opening up as a 21-point favorite. Now, MF, I know it's been several weeks since we've seen Notre Dame. They were supposed to play Wake Forest on September 26th, but that game got kiboshed because of what else? COVID. And then last week was their scheduled bye week on top of that. So this will be their first game since September 19th, when they absolutely manhandled South Florida, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, SummerSlam 2014 style, 52-0 in a game that wasn't even close from start to finish. But MF, the big question is, will Notre Dame suffer from a long layoff at home against Florida State under the lights at Notre Dame Stadium?
I don't believe so, because Florida State is not the same Florida State team that we've known and gotten accustomed to. I believe right now that you definitely got to go, and I believe that Notre Dame should handle their business. I don't think the long layoff is going to hurt them. And at the end of the day, I actually got the Fighting Irish winning this by at least 3 touchdowns. To say the very least, which is very remarkable, even for me to say. But I'm just not in the same wavelength as with Florida State. Florida State was a prominent team a few years ago. I think they're just on a rebuild right now. They don't have it. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Notre Dame to take down Florida State. And like I said, I got them winning by 3 touchdowns. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Of course, I'm going to go with my team. Was there ever any doubt? I mean, yeah. If Florida State found a quarterback in Jordan Travis, the Noles have a fighting chance. Additionally, Notre Dame had a disrupted practice schedule within a 3-week layoff. It might be a little rusty, but this Irish defense is built to overwhelm a shaky Florida State offensive line. Notre Dame pulls away in the second half. Notre Dame wins 34-16. Notre Dame beats Florida State. So that's really all there is to say on that. I mean, I thought we were going to have Michael Bullock, but apparently we're not going to get him after all. So I think his commitment probably ran a little lower than expected. But with that being said, that will put the bow on this Week 6 edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. All right. Tomorrow night, we got a big show, another big show. MF's going to have it. It's going to be on his channel, Bracefan 95. It's the Cerebral Smack Talk. It's one of our biggest shows of the year. The WWE draft starts tomorrow night. The rules and all that were announced today. And the $1 billion princess herself, Stephanie McMahon, will be back to announce the picks like she did last year. And, we got a loaded SmackDown. I mean, not just with the draft, but we got some huge matchups to take place. Bayley and Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We have The Fiend going up against Kevin Owens. Big E against Sheamus in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And so much more, including that ridiculous court angle with Miz and Otis. But, we'll see how that goes down. But it's going to be all about the draft. Let's not kid ourselves. So we're going to recap all of that as part of the Cerebral Smack Talk tomorrow night with MF over on Bracefan 95. Saturday night, we got NFL Saturday. And what else is there to say? I mean, another topsy-turvy week in the NFL. COVID has wreaked havoc yet again. No big surprise. And another week, another round of schedule changes. And, it is what it is. But we'll address all of that and we'll recap Thursday night football as we saw the renewal of an old school NFC Norris rivalry with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Chicago Bears. And right now, Tampa Bay is leading Chicago 19-17 with 1:43 to go in the fourth quarter, and the Bears are driving. So
They're well past midfield. They're close to field goal range. So, I mean, yeah, this has a making for a Shakespearean like drama. Nick Foles might if everything holds, but I'm not saying anything yet. But he might be closing in on once again knocking off Tom Brady. But lo and behold, it's not over yet.
it ain't over till it's over, as the late
Nope.
Yogi Berra always said. So but nonetheless, we're gonna recap that. We'll give our thoughts about that on Saturday night for NFL Saturday. We're off on Sunday, and then Monday, ridiculously Raw, the second night of the WWE draft, and so much more as we continue the build to the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Ridiculously Raw, Monday Night Raw, and of course my latest Tony's take on Impact Wrestling and 205 Live. And Wednesday, of course, Wednesday Night Mayhem, and then this program next week, College Football Thursday, and some of the games that are on tap for next week. We got Pittsburgh squaring off against Miami. That's a good one. But it's looking well. We got two huge games in the SEC. LSU squaring off against Florida. But, of course, the game of the week next week, hands down, Georgia and Alabama. That's the big one next week. And a special primetime edition of the SEC on CBS. I can't wait for it. So that'll be all for that. And that's it. So until tomorrow night for that huge Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Braceway 95, it's Anthony Florio signing off. For my panel, in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel Dee Dee Woodson, and always and forever the man who, gave us our big break years ago, Mr. Derek Ferreira. Always and forever, brother. No doubt about it. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Week 6 of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.